Hello everybody, this is Tom again with the introduction to the eTools week, and some reflections I would like to share with a short presentation that also will orient you better in the 7th week already. We are over halfway, and thanks a lot for making this interim assessment, which was looking good, and we will give some feedback to it as well. We start the week with a what we call a metaphor or an image, where every morning in Africa a gazelle wakes up and it knows it must run faster than the fastest lion or it will be killed. While also every morning a lion wakes up and it knows it must outrun the slowest gazelle or it will starve to death. So what is the conclusion here? That it doesn't matter whether you are a lion or a gazelle, when the sun comes up you better start running. And this is a little bit the feeling that I have with tools. There is quite overwhelming. Every day I'm getting confronted with a whole bunch of new tools, but in the end I start to run and try to pick up whatever I can. And I have a fundamental question here. I want to know if I'm still running in the right direction, because if I don't have the strategy and I walk in the wrong direction, then I could say that if you're going in the wrong direction, technology will get you there faster. So it's a warning before we start the week. And we're also confronted with a lot of change, basically. If you look a little bit back, here you see the cover of the Time with the personality of the year. In 2006, you remember who the personality of the year was? It was not Martin Luther King or Einstein, it was basically you. And that was actually the first year that tools like blogs, like wikis, like forums became accessible. That basically the notion of what we call Web 2.0 was introduced. You didn't need to be an IT specialist anymore in order to contribute or to publish content. And that's already 10 years ago, where we all massively went on the internet. And the internet was not, let's say, an IT related stuff. It was mainly a people oriented stuff where we connected, where we communicated, where we collaborated, where we uploaded, and not just downloaded. So a kind of a conclusion that Douglas Rushkoff says, well, the simplest lesson of the internet is the people stupid. We don't have computers because we want to interact with machines. We have them because they allow us to communicate more effectively. And that's why in this e-week we're not going to just focus on whether that's a technological revolution or not. I think when we look at technology, it's more rather a kind of an attitude than just the technology itself. And also, as we are living in an almost digital society or upcoming digital society, we have the kind of vision that also we need to teach with the technology of this information society. So that's our justification, at least, to introduce several tools in our learning offer, knowing that not all of us are, let's say, digital natives like this little girl here, but that we also face and struggle to adapt it in our learning and training strategies. Not all of us are born with a digital alphabet of www. The thing is, I'm still overwhelmed with all the tools that I get. And I heard that you had a training of Jane Hart last year. The top 100 tools, they're not all applications on your dashboard. You really would like to have to select specific applications, and still that overwhelming feeling is always out there. Whether I visualize the tools now as a city, and I hope that you can recognize some of the tools out there. Some of the tools are even in your learning strategy in the LTP plan. Or if you visualize it as a metro map or visualize it as a global map, it doesn't matter. The fundamental question that we're going to ask us is what tools and resources are available to us to support learning. And I've seen in your plan that you have plenty of tools to share images, audio, video, presentation, and networks, and so on. So it's something already integrated. The first exercise this week, what I would like to do is, in function of your project, also try to make a kind of classification of what kind of tools for what kind of purposes you're going to use, because visualization gives you also a clearer vision of what are you going to use for what kind of purpose, and purpose, pedagogical purpose, I would say. So you will find a tool in there in the first section on digital habitats that helps you to classify the different instruments, and based on that visual picture we will try to ask you some critical questions. And one of the critical questions for me is always, do these new tools have actually anything new to offer us in the way how we improve our pedagogy. One of the things that also you need to take into account specifically to your technology, to your target audience, is this kind of scheme. It's called ARIA pattern, which you will see in terms of technology adoption. Usually when you throw a tool to someone, he will enter the first phase of the A. That's the amazement phase. But that will go very fast towards the second phase, which is resistance, because people, I cannot log in, or something is not working, or the connectivity goes out. So you have a big group that completely arrives immediately in the resistance phase. You have, for example, some of the experiences of WebEx could also give that kind of indication. What we need to do is to bring the people from the second phase to the third phase, which is the I, which is of imitation. So what people are going to do, they're going to use the new technology and imitate exactly the same behavior as they did in face-to-face thing, and they're going to use it in exactly the same way. Instead of having a physical document or presentation, I'm going to have a digital document. So it's already online out there, but there's no added value. And that's the reason why we want to move to the last phase, which is the phase of adoption, where we really find the added value of our new technology in there. We will also discuss some additional challenges of the tools that we're having in terms of accessibility. Are they simple enough, structured enough, accessible enough? Connectivity might also something that we want to discuss. Focus on, let's say, the real potential of ICT, because the Moodle environment is still very much used as a kind of a text gathering box, and I really would like to get out of there and look at some of the tools that can support us in the multimedia aspect. And I'm seeing that my disk is full, so I have already a tool problem here. But anyway, we will focus on some of these challenges. Moving a little bit ahead, there will be some tensions that we also discuss. The overload, I have always said, open versus closed, the issue of control, copyright issues. Do we need more technology or less technology? Formal versus informal, centralizing versus decentralizing. These are dimensions of discussions also we can have around the tools. Is it really a revolution? That may be a final critical question. Or are we doing the same as we always have done? And then some critical skepticists say the future, according to some scientists, will be exactly like the past, only far more expensive. I don't have that pessimistic vision. I'm somewhere in between. I really believe in this, that experience is the hardest kind of teacher. It gives you the test first and the lesson afterwards. And that's a little bit what we want to do with these tools, give you the space to experiment, to test, and then jointly learn from our failures. What I want to avoid is the kind of doing all things in new ways without any added value, so that we're just not creating any pedagogical added value, and this is something what I really would like to avoid. Having said this, we try to do new things in new ways, and I hope we will explore that in depth this week. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I will meet you again on the discussion forum.